local foods. So they are carrying a lot of produce from our local farmers, and these are things that you can produce in your own home garden as well.
We might even throw in a few cooking tips.
Here we are in the Brassica section, and we've got a big variety of them here. This is perhaps one of the largest botanical families in our home gardens, and these things are all from a common ancestor, but the different shapes and sizes and flavors all came down from selective breeding by humans for the most part. So we've got some bok choy up here, some Napa cabbage, Chinese cabbage, our collard greens, and many of these things are considered to be superfoods. And maybe Paula can weigh in a little on that.
Well, we get a lot of most of our minerals and vitamins come from vegetables. And super vegetables would be like those that have a really dark green color with a lot of vitamin A and a lot of antioxidant properties also.
We've got broccoli here. That's one that a lot of folks are familiar with. Purple cabbage and several different kinds of kale. This is a curly kale. We've got the dinosaur adeno kale, sometimes called Tuscan kale. Really great stuff. Here's a purple one. Over here we've got more cabbage. And we've got our mustard and our collard greens up here.
Here are Brussels sprouts, again part of the Brassica family. These are actually eating the buds. And then, last but not least, cauliflower. Here we are at the produce section at our local Rouses, and we're in potatoes, as you can see.
We've got a variety of different kinds here. Potatoes come in a lot of different colors. Usually we know of our russets, yellow potatoes, red potatoes. You can get baby potatoes. There's even purple potatoes. They come in a lot of diverse shapes and sizes, and they actually originated in the Andes Mountains, and there's hundreds of varieties of potatoes. We just know of some of them here in the U.S.
One of our New World vegetables. Over here, we have the russet potato, and here is something we call a sweet potato, but it's actually very different from the russet potato. The russet potato is actually a tuber, an underground stem, and is in a whole different family. This is Solanaceae, and this is an actual root. Okay, it comes from root tissue, and it is a true root, and this is in, you'll hear about this, but it's in Convolvulaceae. So two very different kinds of things that even though we call them both potatoes.
Here we are with the tomatoes, and as you can see, they have a diversity of different shapes, colors, and sizes. These are the heirlooms, which are typically a little less shelf stable, but they have a lot of flavor, so people really like growing them in their home gardens. We have green tomatoes for fried green tomatoes, and several different kinds of slicers, and these look like maybe some Romas, and then look back here, tomatillos.
Great for salsa.
Yes.
Also these, if you're gonna make a sauce, these are actually the best ones to use because they have a little less liquid inside, a little more meaty. We're in a different section here, and this is the man who really knows what's going on here. This is Philip, the produce manager, and he's very graciously let us come and film here when he's trying to work. So thank you, Philip.
Here we've got some more solanaceous crops. We have our eggplant up here. That's a very common one this time of year. And then a variety of different peppers. We've got bell-type peppers. We've got the different hot peppers. This is a Hungarian hot wax. We've got some habaneros, serranos, jalapenos. There really are a lot of different types of peppers in the world, all different levels of heat, different shapes, sizes, and colors. We've got some green bell peppers here, and what a lot of folks don't realize is that they're actually the same as these more premium colored peppers, the red, the orange, and the yellow bells. It just has to do with variety and level of ripeness. So eventually these green bells, if you left them on your plants, would turn some shade of these other colors.
Here we have two fresh members of the family Fabaceae. We have fresh green beans here, string beans, green beans, and here we have fava beans. And these you can get them already steamed and peeled. Most of your Fabaceae we eat dried peas and dried beans, and we'll cover those in just a few minutes. As we said before, most of the Fabaceae family that we eat are eaten dried, and what we're actually eating is the beans and peas and even peanuts or the seeds from the fruit of the Leguminaceae or the Fabaceae, which is called a legume. Okay, here we have examples of peanuts, which actually end up underground, but they really are the fruit from a flower that at some point in the growing portion gets tipped all the way and starts burying itself in the ground so that the fruit actually end up underground. These are not from roots, they are from fruits, and they are the seed of a legume. Okay, next, going down the line, we have these beautiful red split lentils. We have split peas. We have black-eyed peas, a southern delight. We have black beans, garbanzo beans, pinto beans, and then lastly, a different kind of lentil. Last but not least, we have the camellia red bean. That's my personal favorite variety, but the red beans are famous here for meals on Mondays. Okay, now let's talk about the group called cucurbits. And these are those that you know, melons and squash and things. And we'll start here with a honeydew melon. Okay, these are really nice, especially in a fruit salad. Really, really good. Here's a cantaloupe. Now these are slightly different. We have a rougher texture, but most people are very familiar with the cantaloupe. It's a good breakfast food. Further over, we have the squash. These are, again, things that you're familiar with: zucchini, yellow squash, good fried down with a little butter and cornmeal. We have cucumbers. We have acorn squash, winter squash, and I'm sure I'm leaving one out here. Yeah, spaghetti squash. Now this one's very different. It's the one that you cook and then you scrape off the inside and use it like spaghetti. Up here we have the cute little patty pans. They have the scalloped edges. Really good to cook them, cut the circle out and then stuff them. And then here's the mirliton. We grow this in Louisiana. You might know it as chayote or alligator pear. But again, another one of the squash or cucumber family that is good stuff.
Next up, we have our Asteraceae vegetables, and the most common one in that family would be our lettuces. And here we've got romaine, we've got a red leaf, a green leaf, but there are many, many types of lettuce. They come in all different shapes, different colors. Some are more heat resistant, some are more for cool season in your home garden. Also in that family would be our endives and our radicchio, which are really nice winter vegetables to cook with. You can roast them, you can eat them raw. Very, very flavorful. Another Asteraceae would be the artichokes, and these are actually the flower structure of the plant. They're a biennial, so these don't appear until the second year of production. And if you do let these open up, they look like a giant purple thistle flower. Very cool.
And now we're going to talk about a group of vegetables that are all in the same family called Apiaceae. And they're grouped in the family because of their flower. Most plants are grouped in groups because of their reproductive parts. In this case, their little flowers come out of these little umbels. Looks like a little upside down umbrella. Okay, so here's the most common one, the carrot. They come in different colors. The bright orange is beautiful, but you can get them in red and white, and it's fun to make a ribbon salad with different colors. And then down here we've got celery in the same family. Of course, here we're eating the root, here we're eating the stems, and then here again another root with the parsnips. And then jumping totally to the other end of the plant, and here we eat, this is a bulb, and along with the foliage with the fennel. And then here we're eating just the foliage with, this is cilantro, and somewhere in here there's parsley. This is curly parsley. There's also comes in a flat Italian parsley. Okay, here we have the celery root. Okay, so here would be a little celery-like stem, and then what they're eating here is the root for flavor.
Next up is the Chenopodiaceae family, and that includes our spinach and also Swiss chard, although it's a little out of season right now, and the beets. So down here we have our golden beets and our more traditional red colored beets. And if you get into growing beets, you can even grow black beets, you can grow purple beets. They do come in a variety of different colors. And not only are the roots edible, but you can also cook with the tops as well. And you would use this just like a spinach or a Swiss chard. You can saute it, you can chop it up, put it in a salad. So make sure you use the entire plant.
And here we have okra. It's an edible pod from the hibiscus family. So you're probably more familiar with the flowering hibiscus would grow up on ornamental, or it's also related closely to cotton, which we use the fur around the seeds once it makes a fruit. Of course, you know gumbo if you're from Louisiana. You can't have gumbo without okra.
Next up, we have Poaceae, which would include our corn and also our rice and our wheat. And this is the family that really feeds the world. Most of our food products come from members of the Poaceae family, and they're grown typically in a field versus in their home garden, but sweet corn is one that many home gardeners would add in their gardens each year.
Here we are with a beautiful display of those vegetables and the Amaryllidaceae, and you might realize it from the name that they're related to the amaryllis flower that some of us grow in our gardens. Here we have garlic, the white here, shallots, good from in Louisiana, use a lot of shallots. Here are boilers. These are really good, you know, to put in a mix of crawfish boil or a crab boil. And then we have a different kind of garlic here, purple garlic. These are leeks. Okay, you can make a wonderful soup or use for flavorings, and then chives here, all in Amaryllidaceae. Here in the back, we have two of the really common Amaryllidaceae, the big white onion and the large yellow onion. The yellow onion is a little sweeter and one of my personal favorites.
Next up, we have the Asparagaceae family, and here we've actually got green and white asparagus. And the only difference is that the white asparagus is naturally blanched. They actually keep it covered for the entire part of its growing season, and it's not allowed to produce chlorophyll, which is why it's got this nice fancy white color. They do taste kind of the same. I would say the white is a little more mild compared to the green.
Here we have rhubarb. Now this is a beautiful vegetable. It's commonly used for mixing with strawberries to make pie or for jams and jellies. What you're using is the same portion as you would for a celery, kind of a big stem or petiole, whichever you prefer to call it. Another member of the family is buckwheat. Some of you use buckwheat flour. We don't have any fresh buckwheat to show you.
Next up, we have the Zinger Brassicae, and the only two things in this produce aisle that would be in that classification would be our gingers, and this is a rhizome, and our turmeric up here. And this does grow in the New Orleans area, actually. This is a rhizome as well.
Here we have the only vegetable present that's in the family Euphorbiaceae. This is the yucca root. And it's used a lot like a vegetable. You can, Anna says she puts it in a crawfish boil. You can mash it, you can make chips, or you may have bought yucca flour before.
Next up, we have the Lemasia, which include a lot of our culinary herbs, which we're going to cover in depth with the herb module in the next couple of weeks. But here in the grocery aisle, we've got marjoram, we've got oregano, basil would be in this family, we've got mint. Some other ones would include sage. I think I saw sage. Yep, here it is. Savory, thyme, that's another common one, and hyssop. That's not one that we see too often, but it's one that we do grow in our gardens. Lastly, we have the Amaranth family, and that would include our quinoa, which you can see here. But also there's a variety of different amaranths that we can grow in our garden, both as an ornamental and as an edible seed source, or you can cook with the leaves much like you would spinach. So I personally stir fry them in my garden, and you can actually eat them raw in a salad as well.